Have you ever stopped to think about how a design that was born on a rocky ship out at sea somehow made its way into jumbo jets and maybe even your own kitchen? Well, let's dive into the pretty amazing journey of one of the world's most efficient design ideas.
Okay, so what do a 19th century ship, a jumbo jet, and a tiny city apartment have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup for a really weird joke, right? A ship tossing on the waves, a plane at 30,000 feet, and a cramped apartment. But what connects them all is this one brilliant space-saving idea that solved a huge problem in each of those places.
And the answer is the galley. Now, the word itself, that comes from the sea, right? It's the kitchen on a ship. But as we're about to see, the philosophy behind it, getting the most function out of the least amount of space, was so powerful that it literally took off. So, to really get this whole story, we have to go back to the very beginning, back to its origins on the water. A place where, having to solve a problem wasn't just a good idea, it was a necessity. On a ship, every single square inch counts. You just can't waste space. So the galley was the answer. A kitchen area engineered to be incredibly functional in a tiny footprint. Think long, skinny counters, cabinets stacked way up high. It was the original blueprint for being radically efficient. And this is what's so cool about it. Every single feature was a direct response to a really tough environment. You can see it right here. The ship's constantly moving? No problem. They invented gimbaled stoves that actually pivot to stay level so your soup doesn't go flying. Worried about the cook's safety? They installed sturdy bars so no one would fall onto a hot stove. This wasn't just about making things look nice. This was survival engineering. Then, in the early 20th century, this idea of hyper-efficiency just explodes, and it goes in two totally different directions at almost the exact same time. In 1926, you've got the concept being used for housing on land, then just 4 years later, it gets patented for use in the sky. It's wild. So, from the rolling seas to the open skies, the galley concept took flight. But, adapting it for an airplane brought on a whole new set of problems. Now, the focus was on making everything incredibly lightweight and cramming it into even tighter spaces. The pioneer who really cracked this was a German inventor named Werner Saul. His airplane kitchen was a total game changer. And this quote shows you just how fast the airlines knew it. Within a single year of the first one being delivered, the huge German airline Lufthansa had them on all of their planes. Just like that, air travel was changed forever. But here's the thing, an aircraft galley is so much more than a kitchen. It's really like a tiny, multifunctional command center. It's got everything, the flight attendant jump seats, storage for emergency gear, those service trolleys. Every single piece has a purpose. It's arguably one of the most efficient little spaces in the entire world. All right, let's bring this story back down to Earth, because while all this innovation was happening 30,000 feet in the air, architects on the ground were wrestling with a very similar problem, just in a totally different place, the modern city. And this is where the Frankfurt kitchen enters the picture. It was created back in 1926 by a visionary Austrian architect named Margaret Schütte-Lahutsky. And this was more than just the first fitted kitchen to be mass-produced. It was kind of a social experiment, really, designed to make domestic work more rational and bring that same scientific efficiency from the galley into the home. So, was it a success? Oh yeah, a huge one. 10,000 of these kitchens were installed. It completely changed home architecture by taking those same core ideas from the ship's galley, efficiency, smart use of space, and applying them to the everyday house. The philosophy behind it is just beautifully simple. First, you put all the units into one continuous line. Second, you design it so you have to move as little as possible. Everything's within reach. And third, you build up, not out, using vertical space for storage. That focus on workflow, that's not just history. It's still the basis for how we create a sense of calm and control in a small space. We see it in tiny homes, RVs, you name it.
So, we've been to sea, we've been up in the sky, and we've been inside the home. Now let's just pull this all together and look at that shared design DNA that links all three of these very different places. This table just lays it out perfectly. On a ship, the big problems were limited space and constant motion. The solution, a long layout, those clever stoves, and safety bars. On a plane, it was all about extreme weight and even tighter space limits. The fix, super compact, multi-purpose units. And in the home, it was about making small city apartments livable. The answer? A continuous array and building upwards. It's the same core idea, just brilliantly adapted for each situation. We started this journey on a 19th century ship,
but the ideas behind a galley are more relevant today than ever. Our world is shaped by a lot of the same challenges. Our living spaces are getting smaller, our lives are more mobile, and we all need more efficiency. The galley's simple philosophy of doing more with less is absolutely timeless. So as we start thinking about things like modular homes, van life, heck, even habitats on other planets, you have to wonder, where will this brilliant design idea pop up next?